With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome to the Precision Racing League Round 4 here of the Formula D Series takes us to Lime Rock Park. I'm Joe Peak with Derek Watson here for today's event. Of course, as always, we have a doubleheader with the Formula C Series coming up after this. But first, we're going to be taking to the track at one of the most storied and legendary circuits here in North America. Very short track, which will definitely keep the drivers on their toes. But before we get to the racing, let's take a look at the schedule for the season. And up at the top, we went to Interlagos there, then followed it up with Hungaroring, over to Zandvoort, and of course now we come to Lime Rock Park. So it's been very international, traveling to multiple continents and different countries each time. Watch out for Suzuka. That's going to be quite the drastic difference from what we see here, especially in these small little Formula 4 cars, where this track, probably about the right size, but Suzuka is going to be massive for these machines. And of course, as always, we have the championship for this series as well. And Derek, let's roll through how the points are currently.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight battle up front right now. Jake Vasconcelos only holds a 3-point lead over Andrew Moran. Then Jake Faulkner and Michael Diaz and Tristan Callahan, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Only 7 points separate those drivers. But actually with Dave Peterson right behind at 128. So a very tight battle here. And then Eric Evans, Brandon Walter, Sean Duhamel, and Corey Precker, who will not race tonight, round out your top 10.
And then we have a teams championship as well. YS Motorsports currently leading that by a pretty handy margin, especially this early on over VHR Racing, if I can get that word out. Eagle Vision Racing White is behind them, and it starts to finally get a little bit tight down there. Precision Racing Esports, Divide by Zero Motorsports, all separated by a mere 15 points there between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So watch those drivers as they might find themselves in a little bit of a swapping around before this is over. Of course, we have various sponsors as well to help bring this show to you. And the first is Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. And it's brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. Also, it's brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Also, Mecha Sim Hardware. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. And also, there's Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And finally, there's Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography captures your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Well, looks like we are in the midst of qualifying right now. And as I was talking about, Derek, this is such a short lap. The drivers get plenty of opportunities to get a lap in. And I wonder if it's going to be pretty difficult to try and find margins by the end of it.
It'd be pretty difficult to get a lap in here. It's where you're not, making contact or drafting or trying to break a draft. This is a track tonight. I think we're going to see a little bit more contact than we want to see. There'll probably be lots of moments for Mr. Hedge to take some photos of some interesting predicaments as this night goes on, Joe.
No doubt about that. And Andrew Moran right now is your quickest driver up there in the 99 as we watch Matt Scherf here come across there. Currently 14th. That last lap looks like it was an out lap for him. So he'll carry on around. Eric Evans down in 19th. Also not able to tick that lap over. The other thing about this place, such a fast circuit, even in these Formula 4 cars here, Derek. So going to be difficult to try and keep the car safe with how close the barriers are. You can see right there down into the diving turn. It is right up against the edge of the track.
It is. And, even on the corners where there's not the barrier right next to it, that there's not really enough grass to save you with how fast these cars are going to go off track. It's going to be a very dangerous night for everyone involved. And I think what makes this track so fast is honestly, it's, there's the big long straightaway. There's some simple corners. There's not a lot of twists and turns here. So it does allow for a very, very fast track. But as we watch qualifying go on, here's Eric Evans. We see a little bit of track around him, but as I'm watching other cameras off on the side, it is hard to find a spot here. Look, there's Kevin McPherson, where anyone's alone here. You're always drafting with someone or being drafted by someone around this track.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Just the constant nature of the traffic probably going to be keeping everybody really busy out there as we watch McPherson now down off the final turn, crosses the line. Boy, a lot of drivers having their laps taken away, unfortunately. Let's see if Clay Harris can get this one done instead. And no, in fact, he was also on an out lap as well. Eventually, we'll get somebody who's going to get a clean one across and try and improve here. But like I said, so quick, it's going to be hard to try and find the space. Jake Faulkner looks like he's just getting himself warmed up. And let's check in with Andrew Moran here in that 99 down through the chicane. Now, one thing to note about this track, since they re-released it a couple years ago, Derek, that chicane, those curbs, my goodness, they look like they're a nightmare if you hit them too hard.
They do, and I'm almost scared, of course. There's an off track. That's going to kill that lap for Andrew Moran. I might have killed the car there on that wall. I got, whatever. Where was it? Oh, yeah, and then we talk about the updates that are coming to iRacing. They've not put a date on it yet, but they talk about now having the new 3D curbs and the raised curbs in iRacing. Man, that corner will be even more treacherous once those are released.
Certainly, as now we're watching Callahan down here in 6th position. I was talking about how many laps they can do because they're so quick. He's already done 20 laps here in this qualifying. It's a 20-minute session. So, under a minute, he's basically been out there the entire time. But I'm showing him tracking about 7/10 slow, so not sure that this one is going to be an improvement for him, unfortunately. Let's watch to see as he approaches the line. Sometimes the timing and scoring can lie to us about some of that stuff with the sectors. He'll cross, and no, it is indeed slow. A 50.6 is not going to help.
No, it's not. And to kind of come back what you said about the invalidated laps, what happens here, maybe if you're watching along and you're new to iRacing, according to the qualifying rules, if you touch the grass, if you get what we call an off track, or not so much in this case if you touch another car, that'd be more obvious in these type of racing, but if you touch that grass, it's going to kill your lap. And trust me, as someone who's raced here before, it is not hard to get your car off track a little bit and touch that grass with a tire or two.
Dowden looks like he's pretty good so far, though. He has to sneak by Faulkner, who's able to get out of the way in time. Dowden's showing close to his lap time, and he's going to get a little bit of a tow there from Callahan before he goes around him across the start-finish line. It's going to be a 50.0. That's about 2/10 short, unfortunately. So he only has to make up 15 thousandths to catch Moran, but with the checkered flag out, he's not going to get any more tries.
No, we'll just finish up with the cars who were already around when the checkered flag came out, and compared to some weeks, that won't take very long here. Here's Kevin McPherson. Going to get one more shot, one opportunity to see if he can make this happen right here. This is probably the toughest part of the track, in my opinion. Those 3 corners right there. And you're going to come up the hill here, and we'll see what he can do.
He's out through West Bend, but he's pulling off to the side, so he's going to abandon that lap as Austin Harris in behind him, showing about 0.3 slow this lap, but he sits in 10th. We'll get a little bit of a pull from the friend in front of him on the main straight. Is that going to be enough? No, 50.2 is actually about 200ths off of his best time, so he was awful close to be able to do that.
That's a little bit better for Walter, though.
Yeah. So looks like, no, Walter did not go quicker than his 50.9, unfortunately. So looks like Brandon will also stay put there in 21st, which means our grid is now set. So let's go through that starting order for round 5 here in the Formula D series. Andrew Moran is going to be starting this one on the pole. You've got Michael Dowden in second with Jake Vasconcelos in the 3rd position. Then it's Michael Diaz in P4. Kevin McPherson starts 5th and Justin Delano in 6th. After that, it's Tristan Callahan starting 7th. Outside of row 4 has Frankie Arvello in 8th and Jake Faulkner P9. Austin Harris starts 10th. Jason Ahrensberg in 11th. And Clay Harris here, Derek, is going to be starting in 12th.
That's right. We'll pick up a 13th with Brian Hotham, with Paul Wildridge on the outside, with Matt Scherf and Brett Accord right behind him. And then Dave Peterson and Sean Duhamel will round out your top 18. Moving back to 19th for Eric Evans and Owen McLaughlin. 21st will be Brandon Walter, who we saw there finishing that qualifying lap, with Donald Olson in 22nd. And then Christopher Perez and William Sullivan are 23rd and 24th. And then last year, not setting times, David Herbert and Jason Potter with your 26 car field. Joe, that is a lot of cars for this tiny track.
It absolutely is. It's definitely going to be crowded out there. It's going to be frantic. Watch for the drivers to have to mostly try to just keep out of trouble here today if they want to be able to take the checkered flag and have a decent finish. Maybe that'll be the name of the game, to try and get some points as we wait for the last of the clock to tick down, and they'll be on their way. It's pretty decent conditions, at least here in this evening race. 79 Fahrenheit on the track with only about 4 miles an hour of wind, so it's not going to be too slippery, and it won't be pushing them around with these light little cars, since the wind is not too dramatic. Looks like it is going to come down to the last little bit, and I think we're missing a couple drivers. They're going to have to start from pit lane as the lights are now up. The engines start to rev. Are we going to have a good start? They're holding them a long time. Green flag is out off the line. It looks like our pole sitter did not get off very strongly, but Moran still has the inside, as Dowden will have to slot in behind him down at a big bend, and back there in 4th, caught on the outside. That's Michael Diaz, who's eventually going to have to get himself single file here. It looks like I don't see any offs here, Derek.
No, you went back to the field. I see an off. Oh, back to the middle of the field. There's an off up here, but a very clean start. No carnage. Just a couple grass touchers back here. But, man, up in front, to quote the rap song, Joe, it is all black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Absolutely is. I spoke too soon there. So that was Vasconcelos, who I think had contact with Michael Diaz that caused that off into the left-hander. In the meantime, we're already coming down the diving turn. Like you said, Moran, Dowden, and their black and yellow team machines leading the way by a significant margin, actually, over 3rd place. There you can see the gap in front of them. It's Callahan there. Chasing in the 76, diving down to the inside. A big attempt. I think that was Faulkner.
I think that was Arvello, I think you saw, unless we're looking at different diving attempts. But I saw Arvello try to dive to the inside as well, I thought.
Yeah, you're right. That was Arvello, and thankfully was able to get out of it with a huge lockup. Did not make contact as far as I could tell. And he does have Faulkner behind him as they go through the chicane for the 2nd time. Behind them, I saw another lockup now, and I think, a cut of the chicane for Jason Ahrensberg. Yeah, he's got a slowdown penalty, unfortunately. But we stay with this battle here coming around West Bend between Arvello and Faulkner, as we're going to take a look at the replay, I think, yes, of Diaz into the left-hander.
Oh, it's hard to say what happened there. It's hard to say. I think he just wasn't clear. I don't think that the other car moved up. I just think Diaz wasn't clear and moved a little too far wide there, Joe.
Yeah, it looked like 2 into 1 just didn't quite go. And, well, at least they didn't lose as many places as I initially thought. I think they're still running. Yeah, Diaz is actually still in 12th currently. So he's lost a few of them, but could be able to get his way back up if he tries hard enough here. Still now Arvello. He's been overtaken by Faulkner, and now he's got a different friend behind him. It's Austin Harris.
Definitely being followed by Austin Harris, going to come down through this corner. And I'm curious how many people are going to want to stay in line, how many people are going to want to break the draft and race their own race. Something to talk about is the aero effect that these cars will have in a draft and how much harder it is to turn them when they're in open air, if you could ever find that.
Harris did make it past Arvello there, so move Austin up into P7. Clearly some moves being made in the mid-pack, but not many up at the very front of the field. Moran still leads Dowden by about half a second. Callahan is dropping now up to almost 3 seconds behind them. Up the hill and over the crest towards West Bend. Once again, from what I could tell, this seemed like a pretty flat-out corner there, Derek.
It did. By the way, I just want to... Oh, we're going to see a replay here for a second. This is going to be Diaz again, I think. Yep. Just
looks
different
like
angle. I don't know, man. It's hard to say sometimes what happens in those racing moments. That's why we call them racing incidents. But going back to Harris, if we can, for a second, does that car not remind you? Teams take like their new prototypes of like GT3s or LMPs or whatever out on the track for a run, and they're not ready to announce it yet. Is that not what Austin Harris's livery reminds you of a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like the camouflage that they use at the Nürburgring and places like that. And maybe that is intentional. It could also be a Keith Haring tribute, because I'm kind of getting those vibes from him. But we'll see if we can maybe ask him if we get a chance to talk between the races. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 4th. McPherson trying to shake Delano and Faulkner. We already saw Faulkner get 1 spot earlier. Can he get another?
Yeah, we'll see if we can get it right here with McPherson leading this charge around. And I think passing is going to be hard here tonight, Joe, without an incident or someone missing a corner in front of you. I think making a natural pass, if that's what you want to call it, will be difficult here. But let's take a look at other moments happen here in the past. This will be Dave Peterson, and he's going to make the pass. Oh, no. Oh, he almost made the pass.
Yeah, somebody's going slow through there, and he thought maybe he could weave his way around. Got tipped around, it looks like, and he's back rolling once again. Peterson down in 24th, actually in pit lane. Did he get damaged? Yeah, he did. He got damaged from that. He's got a black and orange flag.
I'm a little surprised. That looked pretty minor compared to some other incidents we see, but that shows you how dangerous that corner is. He made it look like a very clean pass, and then someone just came across and made contact, and that's how it goes here. But the problem with Peterson, or the problem for Peterson, I should say, is that that's the move you have to make at Lime Rock if you want to gain spots. You have to be willing to jump on it when someone messes up like that. That's the easiest way to gain spots here.
That's a good point. And unfortunately, it bit him in the end. As I think we're riding on board here with Faulkner now, 3rd in line of this group. Watch those. You can see how big those curbs, those big red curbs are on the inside. Thankfully, he misses all of them. And swinging through West Bend, he could be close enough to have a good run down the front stretch this time, Derek.
He definitely could. And, at a track like this, too, if you get Faulkner in this spot, I'm curious what the fuel saving will be. He's almost forced to draft here. It's not a track like a Spa or a bigger track, Suzuka, where, it's a bigger track. Some of these guys are going to be forced to draft, as they were side by side there. The fuel saving could be very different in this race.
Oof, that's Delano fighting with McPherson for that 4th position. Thought he was going to have it. Oh, off course there for McPherson. Keeps it from spinning around. Now they're joined by a 4th. That's Austin Harris, who's now up in the fray. They go back to single file, almost forced to down through the chicane.
Well, it may be a controversial topic across the iRacing community, but Delano is thrilled for the new iRacing grass there, Joe. And the old iRacing grass, he would have had a rough night right there.
Yeah, he Definitely use that extra little grip there to keep it from going around. But this has lost them up to not Delano, to McPherson. He's gapped them by about 0.7 of a second. Whoa, way too deep in the corner behind them for Austin Harris. He gathers it back up without completely going off track, but boy, was that scary.
It was scary. You know, that's a key to this track I think people forget, is I think the simpler tracks like a Lime Rock is so much harder than a much difficult track, because you can kind of zone out here by accident and kind of lose focus because it is quote unquote easy. And next thing you know, you've blown a braking point or you've missed a corner or whatever happens, because in your mind, you're just like, oh, this is easy. I got it. I think sometimes the easier tracks are the harder tracks.
Certainly let your guard down, and Faulkner, as we're watching once again in the blue, number 54, catching back up to Delano. They're approaching lap traffic now. Going to be allowed the inside down into Big Ben. He's still going to try and poke his nose in, but can't quite make it through. He'll have to sit behind for now. Watching Delano here in that 138, up 2 positions from where he started this, and obviously dealing with a fair bit of pressure. Also, Tristan Callahan. Now, Callahan wasn't a part of this before, was he? Where did he come from?
You know, yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking that too. Like, where did Callahan come from? He, of course, is one of the PRL competitors who is, you know, dual spirited, dual contest, whatever. He also races in the PRL Cup Series on Sunday night. So he had a really good run at the Roval on Sunday, Joe.
Obviously pretty good at road courses then. Oof, way out to the grass once again there for McPherson in that 326 machine, but he's been caught back up by Delano now at this stage as they weave through Big Bend. That tells me that either the slipstream looking pretty powerful down that front stretch, or Delano is legitimately faster, which could be a serious concern for Kevin here, Derek.
It very well could be a concern here for Kevin McPherson. When these guys get lined up a little bit better and things calm down, he could be under attack at any minute here. As you said, doing a great job at navigating those curbs. One touch of those curbs, and it's going to be very difficult to keep that car under you.
Getting close to the halfway mark in this 40-minute race now. McPherson soaking up the pressure and starting to pull away slightly. So whatever had cost him before, looks like he's got it back under his feet. We've got a replay, though, of the 9 car of Eric Evans. Whoa! Around through the only left-hand corner on the track, other than, of course, the chicane. Doesn't hit the barrier. He gets back on his way.
Yep, just came in a little hot. Probably stabbed the brakes trying to get it wound up. And sometimes when you stab a brake, so someone here for Brian Hotham, when you stab the brakes in a car like this, that's what happens to you, is the car just wants to come around out of nowhere. That's why even in bigger cars, GT3s, that's why we don't teach people to stab the brakes, because those are the moments that'll come from it. Now, Joe, one of the interesting things about this track, as we watch Moran and Dowden, this is 1 and 2 here, there's a little bit of controversy about the length of this track as far as how long it is. Now, iRacing will tell you the track is 1.5 miles, and that's what was measured after the reconfiguration. But IMSA would tell you the track is 1.424 miles. But the track itself wants to tell you it's 1.53 miles. So there's a little difference of opinion about how long Lime Rock is.
Tomato, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's all less than a 1/10 of a mile, but it's all about marketing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And Diaz here, still behind Clay Harris. This is for 5th position. He's got to be watching out behind him, because he does have Callahan back there still, along with Arvelo, Faulkner, and Vasconcelos. So one little slip up if he tries to pass by this 777 car. He could be vulnerable, but this is a great run. He's going to get down to the inside. No defense from Harris. He's going to let him have the desired line. Will he be able to fight it the long way around? No. He's overtaken, and he slots back in line before Callahan can capitalize.
Still a great battle going on here, and I'm sure it's not done yet. Look how close he cut that corner on the inside there. Got up in the curbing there. I'm not sure if that was a benefit or not. It was definitely a tense moment.
Very much so. Well, as they slam down through the gears to get... Oh, and off course, that was Callahan. Completely chucks it off. And thankfully, I think, again, did not hit the wall. Tries to get it going. Oh, he must have damaged something. Car would not go.
No, car would not go. So whether it be just damage or whether it be he has some options for stalling and, you know, ignition's turned on, I don't know. But yeah, unfortunately not going there. Let's watch it again.
Oh, he caught,
there it is.
He caught the curb. Yeah. You know what? I wonder if it was bad enough that it hurt the suspension, because watch him try and take off there. It looks like maybe it wasn't driving one of the wheels.
Yeah, he actually kind of got the benefit of the passage on the left there, which is the alternate layout to with chicanes, is the no chicane, and just going up that hill. He kind of stayed on that hill, so luckily for him, no wall involved in that incident.
Kind of a moot point since the car couldn't go, though. So
that's true. Yeah, you're right about that.
I don't think it matters if he hit the wall or not in this one. That curb did him in. Meanwhile, you were talking about this earlier, Derek, the slipstreaming, using it to maybe save some fuel. Delano had a big run on McPherson, but he didn't take it.
No, he's not going to take it. And it's weird because in this case, a lot of times we talk about undercuts and overcuts to avoid traffic. There's no avoiding traffic here. Now it's just about how many laps can you do, and how short is that pit stop when you do make it. If you can spend less time on pit road, that often decides races in both the Formula D and the Formula C races here on Thursday nights.
Yeah, strategy going to be so important for these cars, especially at a place like this where it's difficult to overtake. Let's see if he does it again. He's got another pretty decent run. I don't think it was as good as before, but he's towing up behind him. And again, a big lift there, and doesn't go for it. So yeah, 138's playing some games.
Yeah, it's hard to believe he wouldn't have had the run there if he wanted it, just with that slipstream and how well he's doing. So obviously he's staying back there and just riding behind McPherson. Maybe he's also going to school. Listen, McPherson's a great driver in the Formula Ds. He's shown it so far. So maybe he's decided he wants to go to school and just watch the line here. But I do agree. It's probably more about fuel saving.
Well, we jump one back there to Michael Diaz. Still has Harrison Faulkner in behind. Let's see if this is going to go any different. Are they also trying to play the big picture game with fuel, or are they going to try and make some moves? Doesn't look like Jake's got a good enough run to try and attempt anything, so maybe we won't get that question answered this lap around at least. But at 20 minutes left to go, who is going to pit in this time by?
Yeah, we're just about to the halfway point, so that'll be the question we'll start to ask is, when will people pit? Now, earlier we kind of saw an onboard shot. I'm curious if we can go back to one. I used the term simple track earlier, Joe, but look at how busy, as we watch a part of a lap or maybe a whole lap here. Other than the straightaway, these guys' hands never stop moving. And that animation there, that doesn't include shifting. So every time you see that number change in the middle of that wheel there, either someone's paddle shifting or shifting a car, probably paddles in this case, but there's never a moment of rest around this track.
Certainly not. And yeah, so here we go through Big Bend, switches into the left-hander, literally called the left-hander, just because it's the only one on this track that steers you to the left. And then, of course, we come down to the chicane through No Name, which isn't really a straight, but they call it the No Name straight. Here's the chicane portion. Nice and smooth. Actually, I'm quite impressed here with the way that Dowden is driving, Derek. It's not a whole lot of sawing away.
No, it's not a sawing, but it's definitely still that moment of movement. There's no real big, long patch here other than the straightaway where you get to kind of rest and think for a second. Your hands are always busy at a track like this.
Now, the bad news is for Dowden and Moran, they are approaching lap traffic. They're about half a second apart. This might be where Michael tries to catch up to him, using that to his advantage as we continue to watch Diaz, Harris, and Faulkner. This is for the 5th position out of Big Bend, switching back across the track through the left-hander as they late apex it and then try to straighten out No Name. Pretty equidistant between the trio of them at this stage, not seeing much advantage able to be gained by anybody.
No, not too much advantage. By the way, I have an update for you. Tristan Callahan VR headset problems.
Oh,
That's what happened with the spin out and the lack of continuation. VR calibration problems is what I'm being told.
that is a real shame. It's unfortunate. Unfortunately, the reality of racing in sim racing is you're at the mercy of your PC hardware as well. It's sort of our equivalent to the failures, if I can say that word, of various parts of the cars.
Whoa!
Whoa, wow, and that just goes to show you how quickly the lap traffic can become an issue. That was a good thing we didn't have a problem there. So somebody's in pit lane. Who's this?
I don't know who that is, but wow, that was scary. That's Christopher Perez back in 25th. That was a scary moment, just how fast that car came up. I don't know who that was. It happened like a blur, but wow, that was oof.
Yeah, so that changed things very quickly. Oh, and something happened to Delano. He just lost a spot to McPherson. He was ahead of him, and I almost wonder if he had some sort of slowdown penalty because he kind of just pulled off to the side and let McPherson through. You can see the yellow and black machine is now ahead of the 138, and this has been an ongoing battle, Derek. Just all race long they've been at each other.
They really have been at each other, but you say that maybe he had a slowdown, but I mean, unless he cut the chicane, it's hard for me to imagine a corner on this track where you could mess up and mess it up in a good way and get it, and gain time, unless it's right through there. I mean, where else could you get one? I'm trying to think it through in my head, and I don't see it. It had to have been through the chicane if there was one.
Yeah, it didn't look like he cut through that lap. So I'm just as baffled as to why he slowed up and let him through. So is this going to be the overtake? Let's watch. Yeah, so this is Delano. Oh, well, he did clobber the curb pretty hard, but yeah, he just pulls off to the side.
Maybe almost a lack of confidence for a second. Like, that's the mental side of racing we don't talk about enough, Joe, is that once that happens and you do clobber a curb or you touch the grass or you get too close to a car, it really messes with your mindset as a racer, and you kind of have to breathe for a second. And sometimes it's good, you know what, let this guy by and kind of breathe and reset and then get back to it. I think that was just a moment of just, all right, go take it and I'll earn it back later.
Just saw Arvello come in and out of pit lane. He's down into 19th, so he's got his pit stop done at this stage. First one to blink, Kevin McPherson. In the meantime, still ahead of Delano, and now Diaz getting ever closer. Clay Harris starting to catch back up. Faulkner, who was involved in this earlier, is also starting to gain ground. So we could have a 5-car fight for the last step on the podium.
We really could. So now I think the important question is, who does the undercut of these 5 cars? If you're the driver 3rd, 4th, or 5th back in this line, maybe you ponder pitting now and getting that open air so you can run your lane and not be forced to run someone else's, and so you can turn a faster lap here or there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And especially if they're kind of battling with one another, if you can get some clean air, that could certainly help you out. Looks like we had a couple more takers. Hotham and Accord also have taken their pit stops, but this group of 5 still out on track. None of them swinging in quite yet.
No, not quite yet. And the one story that's kind of developing as time goes on here, Andrew Moran will likely, if the race ended as it is now, would inherit the points lead. Of course, he has the pole. He's running first right now, and Vasconcelos is down in 8th place. Not that that's a bad running order, but with how tight those points were, that would put Moran up in 1st place.
Interesting developments out there then. Duhamel, by the way, also pitting in this time. So we're starting to see the dominoes fall one by one. Drivers going to take advantage of when they think is the best time to try and pit. It's less than a 10th now between Delano and McPherson. He approaches and he lifts once more, deciding not to take it. Car on the outside of the track, though. That is Eric Evans, who toes to pit lane. So it must have actually been a serious accident.
Yeah, it must have been. I had this conversation with Reese Gardner last week when we were doing this this broadcast last week. But Joe, do you notice how North American tracks, as I was watching the pit out here for Lime Rock, you notice how North American tracks are more likely to put drivers right in the middle of it on pit out. Like that pit out for Lime Rock here that you see when we go around again, it just throws you right back into the race. Do you have a theory about why that is?
I mean, I feel like it's basically because a lot of North American tracks are still very old school. Many European tracks have been modernized for safety, and for some reason, we just haven't been as worried about safety here with a lot of our circuits. So, yeah, many of them don't have the niceties. That'd be my guess as to why, but it is a good point. Yeah, a lot of them have pretty tricky pit exit lanes.
Yeah, you think about here, you think about, of course, Watkins Glen. I mean, even the Daytona pit out, which is a little nicer in comparison, puts you right back in the heart of it right there in the first horseshoe. Just something I've noted as we keep doing these broadcasts for these races.
Whoa! Oh. And that was a big one right there. That was Christopher Perez, a lap down car. Thankfully did not hit anybody and into pit lane. Here we go. That's Delano. So he is finally going to dive away from this group, take his pit stop. Clay Harris has already had his. He's probably going to come in, I think, behind Delano. It looks like we'll have to watch and see. Finds his pit stall, takes his service. Harris is just coming down through the diving turn now, and Delano is out and going.
Very quick here, only 4 seconds in the box, but this pit lane is very long and very slow. So the overall delta of 22 seconds is what Delano saw here. Now, the good news for him for a moment is he'll have that little bit of peace and quiet. Let's watch this replay here. This will be Perez first to the left. Once it happens, you have to go right out of this corner.
It was before the downhill, so I think we may have gone a little too far back here.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised there. I expected him to bounce off the barrier, but we'll try and check on that one a little bit later. In the meantime, I was right. Delano is out ahead of Harris by about 4 seconds currently. But our top two, look at how much they've closed together, Derek. The race is on.
The race is on between teammates, between Dowden and Moran here. This team has really dominated this Formula D series. Of course, this is a newer series, or a series coming back to PRL this season. PRL has experimented with a couple different races on Thursday nights before the Formula C or the Formula 3 races. But this one right now, 25 cars on week 4 of a season. This has proven to be a success for PRL.
Really has. Oh, we might want to go back to McPherson because he was dealing with lap traffic. Oh, and now he's going to be able to get by. Could have been a sketchy moment very quickly. He was still being chased by Diaz, but we continue to watch our top two up here at the front. Moran and Dowden, they have, oh, wow, I didn't realize this, Derek. I'm looking. They've stretched over McPherson by 11 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I just noticed that too, and the stats I was watching go by. That's a crazy difference here. I'm curious how. I'm curious what I missed. But that is what we're facing here. And also something to talk about as well. They have lapped up through 11th place. There's a lot of cars right now 1 lap down. So really good job navigating that traffic by our leaders.
There's
Jake
Faulkner in the
Faulkner
blue.
off the track.
Yep. Good call there. That's going to be the 54 taking service as well. He was behind Delano, I want to say. Now, will he be ahead of Clay Harris, though? I think that's going to be the bigger question there. Hits his stall nice and cleanly. Derek, can he get out in front?
Based upon the time, it's interesting. The pit box was a little longer than what we saw from earlier, but the pit delta, okay, that updated. Yeah, so it's about 0.2 longer than what we've seen other drivers do so far. So probably not.
He did get him. So Harris is,
wow.
Yeah, Harris was actually a second slower with a 5.2 in his pit box. Oh, and our leaders are pitting line astern, team strategy here. And they are slowly working their way down towards the stalls. Let's see. Diaz keeps going, but McPherson is in. So we might be close to the end of the pit window. Yeah,
it's interesting they all pitted together. And obviously this is a team that works well together. We see it week in and week out, but for to pit together, I understand 1 and 2 pitting together, but when you're 11 seconds back like McPherson was, I'm a little surprised, but I don't know.
I think it's a bit of a moot point there. And again, if it's a team strategy, then probably all going to be together.
Right.
So they come out as they were. Vasconcelos down in 7th now. I think he's going to at least inherit one position because Michael Diaz is our driver that we're waiting on. Bear hasn't pitted either, but he's sitting down in 13th, actually. So he's not really a contender in this one. Diaz, our new leader, now pits, which means it's going to hand back over to Moran.
Yeah, it's going to hand back to Moran. Now, the question I sort of have in my head is, will he pass the line in time here for scoring and timing to actually show him leading a lap before he gets past here? And no, Moran's going to, I think, scoring and timing wise, Diaz will never be credited with leading a lap here.
It depends on if he went by before the leaders went by on pit lane, though. I think he may have gotten one. I'm not sure, but we'll check on that in a bit. As well, things starting to get a little bit interesting farther down the order. This is a battle between Michael Diaz and Justin Delano after he just comes out from his pit stop. McPherson also in there. Delano did get by McPherson, it looks like.
We're right back to that tight racing once again. 7 minutes on the clock here. So probably about, 10 laps left, I would think. At this, would that be about right, you think?
Yeah, we're looking at probably about 8 laps to go, I think, with 7 minutes left. Yeah. But Michael Diaz now has got to deal with playing the rabbit as Delano chases. Can he get through? Diaz with the track position, like we were talking about, Derek. So difficult to try and overtake here. Is it advantage car 17?
At this point, I think it is advantage car 17. With pit stops being over, there's no fuel saving to talk about. There's no, pit strategy to talk about. Now it's just about the inability to pass at this course. So unless Delano pulls a NASCAR and backs the car up a little bit down the straight and 2 or 3 of them draft together, it is advantage 17 all the way.
Ooh, it's very close between himself and Delano. Delano's right on top of him. He's going to have a good chance. He tries to go defensive, but he's too late. He's got the inside as Justin could manage to make the overtake. Lap car going to stay out of the way. He's got a bit of overlap and just enough that he can force his way down to the apex first, but it's not done. He tries to hold on. They nearly bang wheels coming out of the big bend, but it switches back, and Diaz, a brilliant defense to hold on to P3.
Yeah, the only way that would have worked would have been if the 2 or 3 cars behind him would have also went with him when he broke the draft, and they all would have went together, but they couldn't stay organized, and that's what comes of it. We saw a little smoke in the chicane there, but all is good. And is that our leaders right behind him?
No, that is...
That's Vasconcelos and
McPherson. He lost 2 positions on this lap. Faulkner and Vasconcelos both snuck by him.
Yeah, they really did. Oh, man, there was a car coming way off camera shot there who probably just tried to break the draft and made it look scarier than it probably was. And now we're going to see that passing attempt again here through this big right-hander.
This time it's Delano, though, playing defense instead. Faulkner was trying to get around him. Didn't quite work out. And here we go. One more position for Vasconcelos. Jake is able to just eke through. He's going to try and bring his teammate with him, though. That's going to be on the outside into the chicane, and that just doesn't work. He has to give it up. McPherson probably frustrated this late in the race that he's lost that valuable track position.
And I think that's a prime example of the downside of breaking the draft, Joe, because when everyone else stays in the draft but you, when you break it, those cars behind you are going to suck into that spot and sort of close that gap you left open. And that's how you lose spots in a moment like that if you don't break the draft correctly in that moment.
Such a momentum track. Oh, pinching him down. Delano's trying to make Vasconcelos work hard for this one. And they're going to make contact. Jake is knocked off. He corrects the car and catches it. Miraculous save from the number 10. He's still in 7th. Oh, but the car almost loses control once again. And again, he has to save it. That's Clay Harris now around his outside. Derek?
I'm going to guess there's some damage to that car, or there could be, based on the way he took that corner. But your championship leader right here trying to hold on to whatever he can. Let's watch the replay here.
Unbelievable stuff. Oh, and was that Delano? They're getting popped up into the air there. absolutely incredible driving from everybody. And yeah, I thought maybe he had some damaged suspension too, but the car seems to be okay at this stage.
I think he was just driving it angry and just kind of missed the next corner because of it. But 3 minutes left here, and that's going to be a big impact to Vasconcelos and his championship points here. That's going to put him back comfortably in P7 with P6 3 seconds ahead of him.
And that was Delano losing out to Faulkner on screen just now. Went off course. McPherson couldn't quite get through. So they're going to stay as is. Faulkner 4th, Delano 5th, and McPherson 6th. This race came alive in the last 5 minutes here.
Yeah, it really came alive. And I think it's just due to that time, that, you know, the go time or whatever phrase you want to use in that moment, where now drivers realize they have to start making moves here. It's been kind of spicy the whole way through, but patient. And I think that the patience have worn out here with just under 2.5 minutes to go.
What this has done is they're 3 seconds off of Diaz at this stage. Is this the overtake now? We've got live in the bottom right in case you want to keep an eye on that. I think this is
the same camera shot, I believe, from both sides. I think it's just an in-car versus a TV broadcast.
You might be right. Yeah, I think you are right. So excuse me. Apology. So yeah, that is the onboard there in the lower right-hand screen just behind. But what I was going to say is Diaz is now 3 seconds ahead, so he's used this to his advantage to great effect. Faulkner and Delano, as a two-person fight, McPherson couldn't keep up with them. This is going to force Faulkner to defend down into Big Bend, round the outside. It's worked sometimes. Will it work this time for Justin Delano? And he's going to be able to keep it on the track. No contact between them as well. The race carries on through the left-hander. Nobody willing to give way, Derek.
I'll tell you, Joe, who this is working for is Kevin McPherson. In that camera shot about a lap ago, they opened a gap on him that seemed massive. You might have heard me say, wow, under my breath. And now, because of how much they put that gap on him, now they go side by side, and there he is, ready to attack again.
It's a three-person battle once again. We've got, I believe, 2 laps to go. It's going to be very close, actually, on if Moran will get around for the white flag or if he's going to have the checkers next time by. Look at him weaving down the front stretch here, side by side into turn 1. Once again, Delano on the outside, Faulkner to the inside, McPherson giving watch, ready to pounce if anybody is going to leave him an opening, but no such luck.
No luck so far. And with about 20 seconds to go, depending on where the leader is, this should be coming to our white flag. So we'll get one more full-time round when they cross the line here. And I would not be surprised to see if McPherson try to make something happen on this straightaway. Watch him here.
Yeah, it was 7 seconds. 7 seconds at the line when Moran crossed, so he certainly cut it a little bit tight. Here we go, like you said, on board with McPherson, watching Delano and Faulkner. This is do or die time with a white flag, Derek.
This is, and I thought he would try to make a move there, but he just couldn't get sucked up in that draft hard enough to make that move happen. So, by the way, Andrew Moran, it's funny, I was reading back through my notes. I got a chance to talk to him before the race started. He said there'll be lots of blue flags and carnage tonight. His goal, he just wanted to finish. Well, he's going to finish pretty well if all stays as it is right now.
Absolutely. Well, the YS Motorsports number 99 led pretty much the whole way, and he is going to weave in celebration down the front stretch as he takes victory in round 4 ahead of his teammate, Michael Dowden.
What another great night for that team. They've really sparked alive in the Formula D series here.
Oh, battle for third still is there. McPherson's going to try and snipe him at the line. He's got to run. It's going to be close. Who's going to get it as they cross? This is for the last step. It's going to be Delano. Oof, and it was by 0.02 of a second at the line.
Yeah, McPherson just waited to set that move up there. And now we're going to watch this here. This is Michael Diaz through the chicane. Little contact. Oh, no, lots of contact.
Whoa. Yeah, Diaz basically elbowed off. Yeah. That got frantic in there. They knew it was, it was the end of the road. They had to try and make a pass. And I wondered why they had swapped around as much as they did. And Delano reaped the benefits. McPherson came awful close to it as we see that replay once again. The smallest of margins. In fact, behind them, that was Vasconcelos and Harris, or excuse me, Vasconcelos and Diaz separated by a tiny margin as well, about half a tenth of a second. That's going to wrap up this race, but we're not done with the Formula D series quite yet. Here is the results. Andrew Moran, your winner, with Michael Dowden in second, and Justin Delano, your final step on the podium. Kevin McPherson took fourth as Diaz took P5. Vasconcelos fell out of those top three at the start, down to sixth. Clay Harris, a climb of 5 positions, though, up to a seventh here today, as Jake Faulkner was P8 and Frankie Arvello was ninth. Brian Hotham rounds out your top 10. Then you've got Paul Wildridge in 11th and Brett Accord in 12th. Sean Duhamel was your last driver on the lead lap in 13th. Brandon Walter, P14, up from 21st. Not too shabby. Austin Harris was 15th. And then David Hebert up 9 spots, 25th to 16th. Donald Olson from 22nd to 17th as Owen McLaughlin finished in 18th position. Aaronsburg was P19. And William Sullivan, I think one of the first of our DNFs here, in 20th. Everybody from here on down did not get to see the checkered flag, as far as I can tell. Bit of a shame for them, but not a shame at all for Andrew Moran, who, as I said, took the win, and from pole as well. So let's see if we can have a little chat with the number 99 driver for YS Motorsports, already coming to this one, leading the championship. So, Andrew, congratulations. Looked like the start was maybe a little disconcerting. You got caught by Michael slightly, but then you covered him off. Were you worried he might try and attack you for the lead?
No, not particularly. We had been just saving tires just in case, somebody caught back up. But we were pretty much managing that race after the incident between Diaz and Vasconcelos in turn 3 or 4. Lap 1, but it was a great race. Happy for the team.
And speaking of the team, it looks like you guys kind of had a plan going into it. We noticed that you and Michael also pitted together. Was it pretty nailed down by the time you guys gridded today?
Yeah, as long as we were, the plan was to out-qualify Diaz, basically. We've had incidents every race now. This is being the 4th one, and so we're just trying to make sure we, maximize point opportunities against him, because he clearly is outside of our team, the only other driver we're quite concerned about. So,
speaking of concern, I believe next race is Suzuka, and considering this, it's almost the complete opposite of what we've got here. Yeah. What do you think that's going to be like with such a little car on a big track?
Well, you're going to see a lot of passing, and it's going to be diving into turn 1. You should see a lot more passing at Suzuka than here, and even then, Suzuka's not necessarily the best track to overtake, but it'll happen.
Well, yeah, I'm anticipating it'll be thrilling regardless, and congratulations, a historic track here at Lime Rock. I'm sure this one's going to be special.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So Andrew Moran taking the win, and well, we expected it to be a frantic race, Derek. I'd say we got that.
Yeah, we definitely got that in a few different ways, right? We definitely got those frantic moments, and yeah, this was what I thought it would be. Lots of looks.
So apologies, I just realized I didn't think we were going to get Dowden because I hadn't seen him, but looks like we do have him waiting for us. Derek, would you like to have a chat with him?
Absolutely. Let's talk to P2. Michael Dowden, what a great race tonight. Nice job in that number 8 car. What was it like out there?
It was a nice afternoon drive in Connecticut. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, not a Sunday drive because they don't allow cars on the track on Sundays. But definitely a nice afternoon drive at the track. So as we're now, through the 4th race of this season, tell me about the success of your team as a whole. What do you think allows for that? Is it the caliber of drivers? Do you guys work together throughout the week? Why do you think your team is doing so well in Formula D right now?
I think we've just been together now for I think maybe over a year with most of our guys. and we have a great support system from the head of the team, and we all drive together, we all practice together, and honestly, yeah, I mean, we've won this championship before when it was the Formula 4 series. So, I mean, I think we're right on track to get to doing it again.
So 0.746 seconds is what you lose out to Andrew Moran on tonight. If you think it back to your head in the last couple of laps, was there a moment you could have pulled out or a moment you could have done something different? Or was there a moment you could have passed him?
No, it was decided before qualifying that we would just kind of run in our positions all the way to the end. You know, this track, there's so many laps, there's so many corners. By the end, you know, your tires are gone, and you know, we had the best case scenario, which is nobody fought us the entire race. But had somebody been fighting us, it would have been really important just to get to the end and just finish out the race.
Fair enough. Well, next week is Suzuka. What have you raced there before? What are your feelings on?
I love Suzuka. I've done it a lot. Should be a good race. I think it's a bit different from this week. Hopefully, lap traffic won't be so bad. That was definitely probably the only struggle tonight was lap traffic. Really.
Well, it's hard to think you guys struggled when you have a 1-2 finish. Great job tonight, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Michael Dowden. Joe, he finished second. And on a quick note here from Justin Delano, had to run out before he could do an interview. Said he thought he had fun tonight, and
Yeah, excellent stuff there from from Michael. But glad that we at least got word on what happened with Justin here. But it looks like we are going to be heading off to our next race, and that, of course, is going to be at Suzuka, October 19th, here next Thursday. So stick around for that one. We also have, of course, our next race this evening, which is at the Red Bull Ring with the Formula C series, Formula 3 cars out on this track. Another one that is going to be a fast one, but definitely a lot bigger than what we just witnessed, Derek.
yeah, about 3 to 4 times as big.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a bigger track. Obviously a track used in real life, in Formula 1. So, a much bigger track, probably some more passing opportunities than what we just saw at Lime Rock Park.
No doubt. And we'll be hopping over to the qualifying here for that one in just a moment. Let's, of course, remember that this series has double headers all nights of the week. So if you enjoy PRL's action, basically just tune in here to Race Spot and you can get a race almost any night of the week. But we've got ourselves qualifying now on the screen with actually more than 10 minutes left to go. So still plenty of time to see how this one is going to shape out, Derek.
Yeah, plenty of time to see how it shapes out. But, I'm a big fan of the schedule for this series, Joe. If we could take a look at the schedule for Formula C or Formula 3 on the screen for a second. We'll see that in a second, apparently. But I'm a big fan. Here we go. So we've already done Suzuka. We did Bathurst or Mount Panorama and Road Atlanta last week. Now at Red Bull Ring. Next week is a tight one that I'm kind of like going to hold my breath the whole time at Aragon, Joe. A very tight track. And then VIR, the circuit there week 7, and then Sebring, Belle Isle, and we're going to end at Watkins Glen.
Indeed. Now, we also, of course, have a championship for this series, too, starting with the Drivers' Championship. Not a big surprise that Holland and Seitz are up towards the top. Have been very strong in the open wheel series here in the PRL for many years now. Hardman going to try and give them a challenge, but he's got some makeup work to do to try and catch back up to them. Then it's a very tight fight between Williams and Roon for 4th, a single point separating them right now, and a tie even between 6th and 7th of Groff and Brisson. Another tie as well down with Wagner and Ridgway in 8th and 9th. So all to play for. Will this shake things up? And also, what's it going to do on the team's championship, Derek? Because we have that as well.
We do. So right now, Delta Sport is up top by a lot at 307 over Rust Racing Iron. They got Evolve Sim Sports and SRTE Blue with a Rust Racing Oxide, Yellow Stripe Sim Sport, Atomic Racing, SRT White, Atomic Geezers, and a new one, Destino Motorsports, up to P10. You know, Joe, as we look at those points, though, what really stood out to me is there's a name basically missing. Julio Palacio has dominated this series for a few seasons now, has had a really rough start to the season, and Julio Palacio is not even in the top 10 of points at this point in the season coming in week 4.
In fact, I'm seeing he's still only in 7th in qualifying right now as well. So he's got a little work to do even in this very session. Kevin Sandiego, in the meantime, up in 2nd, a mere 300ths off of the pole time. And you have to go down to 5th before you break a 10th of a second apart from the top drivers, from the pole to somewhere behind there. That is unbelievably tight.
It is very tight. And the difference in qualifying here from what we did about an hour ago is you're definitely going to get a qualifying run here where you're not able to draft someone. The draft here is more of a gift and less of a burden. Look at San Diego there trying to, I guess, rub those tires and warm them up.
Most likely.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. It is somewhat cool conditions, 77 Fahrenheit. Not too cold, though. It's going to allow the drivers to get those tires up to temperature, I would think, relatively quickly. Michael Blaze in the 21st position. Not going to improve that lap by, unfortunately. Not too much wind out here either, so should be a decent day for them on the track. As Vargas this time by, let's see, he's trying to improve upon a 124.4. Let's see if this is going to do it for him.
Now, Joe, we were talking off air before we started. You're a man of culture. You travel and been to different tracks. Can you do live that conversion for me? What is 77 Fahrenheit in Celsius?
I don't know the equation on the top of my head, but I believe that would be in the mid-20s.
Okay, I was going to say 26. We can ask Siri for a second here.
We're both thinking the same thing. While you're doing that, I'm watching San Diego to see what he holds out of this final corner onto the main straight once again. And I'm not showing him improving on my time and scoring. Yeah, that lap got deleted, so he must have had an off track somewhere. Do you got an answer for us, Derek?
25 degrees Celsius is what we're looking for.
So I know mine was vague, so that's kind of a cop out, but you were pretty darn close.
Yeah, I guess my years of team endurance racing is finally paying off with having to learn some non-American things.
Exactly. We're just weirdos over here, but Mackenzie Roon going to cross the line, does improve 23.8 that time by. Don't think it actually improved his position. The 91 stays there about 700ths off of Andrew Hardman. What about Tommy Brisson here in the number 43? You can see them go wide at that second to last corner there. Into the final one, but they got to be careful not to go too far. And his lap was deleted, so he may have stretched that a bit too far.
Here's Julio Palacio back in P9 currently, a 123.970. His teammate JR Williams, who's up in the points, is not racing tonight. He is away and knew that in advance, so we'll see him next week. This will be JR's drop week, and that looks like that also might have been off track for Robert Widgway.
Yeah, that was pretty far over the edge in that number 17 machine. Let's see. I'm showing him tracking about a second and a half slow, too. So I think, it won't matter much anyways, because I don't think this lap is going to see him improve. We're going to follow him to the line regardless. Swings, again, quite wide there out of that last turn, maybe figuring out where those limits are. And I have been confirmed that lap did not count for him. About Connor Wagner, still those 300ths behind David Holland. I think that was an outlap for him. Yeah. What about Broomhead here? sitting in third. They've separated somewhat since I was talking earlier about 5 cars within 1/10 of a second. It is now just 2 cars up at the top that are within 1/10 of a second. Broomhead is behind and looks like he was checking up there. So he's also just getting the car prepped and ready to go now at this stage. Let's see if he can do a flyer as Yinlung in the number 5 brings it down in around, sits in 14th position off that final turn. Is this going to be within the boundaries? Last lap was his quickest. He's going to try and improve a second time, and he does. Down to a 24 flat. He jumps to 12.
That's a great improvement, almost 0.2 of a second. That may not sound like a lot, but in a race car, into a race car driver, that's a big gain to find in a lap. Here's Joshua Chinsky here, trying to beat a 1:24.376. See if he can get it here. Coming through the final corners. Man, they will track out really wide in that last corner. And with the iRacing off-track rules, that makes me really nervous. Barely faster there. Barely. But hey, faster is faster.
Yeah, they're trying to maximize this in a big way. And Wagner, we could see also, again, going quite wide. And again, he finds himself not having set a lap time. So he's got 4 more minutes, probably about 3 more laps, I think, to try and get those 300s down to David Holland, who still holds our provisional pole. Ozzy Milwayne here in the number 14. Let's watch Derek to see if he can cut down on that 23.9.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Here's going to make the right-hander here.
It's through Rint and then down through the final turn. That looked a lot tighter than what we've seen from a lot of drivers, that's for sure. He'll cross the timing line. The lap counts, but it's still slower than his 23.9.
Yeah, and at this point, if you're a driver, you got to start thinking about right now with 3.5 minutes left. You need to start thinking about getting back to the pit road if you want to get one more run at this. You want to get your warm-up lap in and then get your flyer in. You're almost to that point now where if you don't get out soon, you're not going to get another run in here.
Conor Wagner's still carrying on, but I'm showing him tracking quite slower than his best lap. So I don't think this is going to be it, but you never know. Let's see. Oh, again, he just keeps swinging out very far. Wonder if he's doing that to try and get himself a little bit of a better run here on the main straight.
Yeah, pull like I know I keep making the oval reference, but pull the super speedway style where the first lap is just kind of all out and revving the engine up could be what he's doing there. Here's Andrew Hardman up in P5 here early into this run. Of course, Hardman running P5 behind Kevin Sandiego and others. So we'll see if he can make up. It's a lot of time to make up here. 1:22.7, or excuse me, a 1:23.7, 1:23.5. So about 0.2 of a second is all he's looking for.
Yeah, it's such small margins, but there's not that many corners around this track, and it's such high speed. So I wonder if that's why we're seeing it come down to the most minuscule of differences between them. And Ozzy Milwayne just jumped up into 8th with his latest lap. Hardman across the line. No, 23.934 is about 0.2 slower than his best. Robert Ridgway now in 10th. Has had his last 3 laps deleted, unfortunately. This one counts, but still not good enough.
No, definitely not good enough. The pretty 1:25 is a little off the pace here. Here's Scott here in the number 009. Of course, here at RaceSpot, Joe, a very common controversy we have is, should zeros be allowed in a race car number? Do you have an opinion on this?
I mean, considering I have to commentate on dirt track racing in the real world, the 0 concerns me less than when you start adding letters. That's the one that annoys me more than having a 0 on the front of the car.
I feel that way about turn numbers on a road course. You should never have turns on a road course that have A's in them. Even like, I guess, Road Atlanta maybe is the most recent one. No, it's not 10A and 10B. You can't, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm a big stickler for corners that deserve names, if anything. Numbers seem lazy. What about Greg Seitz? He's not lazy. He's in the top 10, but he's not going to be able to count this lap, and this is going to be his last attempt because we've only got 30 seconds left, so anybody crossing now is going to start their last flying lap
Yeah, that's true. By the way, I'm going to put Joe Peak over for a second. If you want to know a corner name on a road course, if you want to write like an encyclopedia of road courses and you need corner names, Joe Peak is the guy. Like you could probably send him like a GeoGuessr like picture. You go, oh, that's this corner. Is there a road course you don't know the corner names of?
Here's the sad thing. I've done that game with people actually, where they
sure
show
you
me
have.
a picture and I've had to name it and I've got it correct usually. But let's see whether Wagner can improve. No. And I think he's done. And yes, the checkered flag is out for him. So that's it. He cannot take the pole position over David Holland. Robert Ridgway is coming around. I'm seeing Barton cross. He improves actually to a 24.4, so he's going to jump to 23rd. Watching these drivers coming across the line off screen to see who can find a quicker time, and I'm not seeing many at this stage. So Ridgway with just a couple more corners to go.
Yep. So we'll see what comes here for Ridgway. Ridgway has been doing a lot of practice this week, Joe. He actually did some iRacing official races with other members of this league and did well last night. Finished third, if I recall right, behind David Holland in second. So we'll see what he can get out of it. Way wide there. And now through the final corner. I have a question. If they get really wide up there, you said it's called Rent, right?
On the exit of Rent, the second to last corner?
So if they're up there wide and Rent, would that be the high rent district?
I like it. Well played.
That's a Joe Peak joke right there.
Yes, absolutely. Andrew Hardman managed to jump Broomhead back into third. He had lost that briefly. So well done to the number 3 car. They're right in the dying stages. Looks like qualifying's done, though. And our grid is now set. So let's head through that starting order. David Holland is on the pole position with Connor Wagner in second and Andrew Hardman starting third, as I mentioned. Michael Broomhead will be on the outside of that second row. Kevin Sandiego puts himself P4. Mackenzie Roon will be in sixth position. Joey Haynes on the inside of row 4. He'll see Ozzie Milwain starting beside him. Then Greg Seitz will be starting in ninth. Robert Ridgway, good enough for 10th. Palacio, you mentioned his dominance. Well, again, struggling a bit today. Only 11th on the grid, and he'll have Tommy Brisson on the outside of that sixth row.
We'll pick it up at P13 with Leo Ho Yin Leong with Alexander Rivera in 14th. Adam Kolsar in 15th with Daniel Cranefuss. And then Eric Dubé and Jeff Groff round out your top 18. Moving on is Josh Wachinsky and then Takeshi Kita back there in 20th with Brian Lowe and Manuel Vargas. And then Stephen Verity and Scott Barton, 23rd and 24th.
Richard Swindell's going to be in 25th. Michael Blaze starts P26. Then Brett Thurman in the 27th position. You've got Christian Jasper in 28th and Nick Colander in the 29th spot. James Carter last on the field. All 30 cars managed to get a lap time in qualifying, so that's good to see. But once again, with this being a fast track, with there being 30 cars out there, I wonder how quickly we're going to be seeing lap traffic, Derek.
Yeah, it could take a little bit here, but the start of this race is a tradition that fans of the Red Bull Ring or the old A1 ring get nervous about. Of course, the track is different now, but remember back in the 90s when this track was a little bit more narrow, the start of the race was the maybe the most exciting part, but not for good reasons.
Yeah, often saw wrecks up into Lauda there, that first turn. Honestly, still usually do, but they've got the paved runoff now to the outside, so a lot of drivers try to escape out there if need be. You got to be careful, though. You can get a slowdown penalty for going out wide and not lifting enough out through that corner. And who will fall victim to that? Because on the first lap, that can be an absolute killer. Looks like everybody's gridded up. The engines now start to rev as the lights come up. And the green flag is out. Off the line, looks pretty good there from third place. Hardman as he's gaining on our leader, but not able to try and attack down into the first corner unless he tries to outbrake him. Oh, he's going to spin himself out, and he loses every single one of those positions. Doesn't hit anybody else, but everybody streams by.
Well, how prolific you were in talking about that runoff, but not for the reason you thought. Well, it was your 3 wide there already, but he was able to get his car stopped on the runoff and just wait for the field to go by. and then he'll keep rolling.
Wagner made an attack on Holland, but that didn't work out, coming up into Remus. Meanwhile, behind them, as San Diego leads an absolute train of cars, Broomhead, Haynes, Rune, Milwain, all hungry.
Let's see him now make this corner here, a very slow speed corner. And they're still going to do it too wide here, but they're going to keep it pretty clean here.
Yeah, through Schlossgold, everybody managing to stay out of each other side by side there with Milwain on Rune. And that's going to put Milwain up into 6, but they're starting to get much more single file here in the infield.
Yeah, single file will be the name of the game for a little bit here. It just helps avoid contact. There's 2 team cars there side by side, though. Not willing to get single file just yet.
That's Milwain on Haynes. So Milwain now up to 5th position, gaining spots very quickly at the start. A little wide there at the exit. I think he's going to be able to get away with it as Rune is now on the attack on Haynes. He's looking to the inside, down into turn 1. Can he make it stick? No, he's going to back out.
He is going to back out. And boy, oh boy, Joe, the story of the first lap, Andrew Hardman, as the field keeps coming by, all the way down to 29th place at the line. Lost 26 spots.
Yeah, Bartin is behind him. I think he may have been behind Bartin, has passed him since then. But and this is why. Here, Scott spins off and looks like he's going to be able to at least get back onto the track, but suffers the same ignominy that Andrew Hardman did.
That was a very interesting moment there. That car just really snapped out of nowhere, it looked like. It wasn't a gradual turn, just missing a corner. That sort of snapped out of nowhere. I don't know what caused that. But yeah, that was a very, very quick turn there up into the dirt or the kitty litter or whatever racing term you like to use.
Yeah, I wonder if he got a little help there potentially that we couldn't quite make out on that first replay. In the meantime, we are carrying on as... Oh, did Cranefuss have a problem? Yeah, Cranefuss now dropping down the order. He's all the way to 29. Cars that are... multiple cars that are finding themselves off the track here in the early stages and giving themselves lots of work to do as we continue to watch up towards the front here, Derek.
Yep, watch up front as another lap ticks off. Now remember, unlike our previous race, we're going to see a replay here. This is going to be Cranefuss. Oh, a little bit of both. A little bit. He spun it on his own and got a little bit of help. So,
and I think that was Chinsky. Yeah, I think that was
I believe
the 18.
That was Chinsky as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's in pit lane, and I saw his front wing come off. So he's unfortunately had to take those repairs.
Yeah, very unfortunate indeed. I was going to say, unlike our last race, Joe, this race can end on laps or time, whichever happens first. It's either going to be 30 laps or 45 minutes. The trend of the season has been that the leaders have kept the pace that would go on laps, but we'll keep an eye on that as the race goes on. For now, the clock will tick down.
Whoa!
But don't be surprised if it turns to laps.
That I was watching this as you were talking. That was Milwain attacking Broomhead. He wasn't done taking positions, but apparently Broomhead was a little bit too much for him as they wound up making, I think, slight contact, and that sent him down to 14th. That's a real shame, Derek. He was having such a good climb.
He really was. I was really excited for Ozzy Milwain in this race and how well he was doing, but let's watch it again here. See what's going to happen.
So this is a little early. This is coming up into Remus. Is this Ozzy Milwain? I'm not sure that this is.
Yeah, not the green car, so I'm not sure what it is there. We'll come back for that, but yeah, just got caught up there, and unfortunate moment for Ozzy Milwain.
Here's the incident. Now we got it. Oh, yeah.
Almost looks like he just got too close, and maybe he got on the brakes himself. I don't know that if there was any contact. It was him making contact, but then he just sort of swept himself to the outside of the track there.
Looked like ghost contact of some sort, potentially. We're going to get one more angle on it. No, maybe not.
I think he just stabs the brakes, honestly.
Oh, wow. Real
I think
shame.
he just got nervous.
Well, we might need to come back live because Wagner and Holland are actually going side by side for the lead. The 28 and the 51, and the 28 is going to be able to stay ahead. Wagner putting the pressure onto his teammate now. No team orders on this one, Derek.
No team orders indeed. These guys are going to race as hard as they want to and try and be smart. Look at him going back and forth. It's almost the old, dare I say, the old IndyCar, tandem slipstream is almost what they're pulling off here.
The two Delta Sport cars line astern onto the main straight. And I think that's another driver in the same team, Kevin Sandiego, in behind them, catching up because of this battling. It's going to be bad news for both of them unless they will start to settle down, realizing that they've got all three of them potentially going at it. Oof, in the background, that was Mackenzie Roon, who we saw have a little bit of a slide there off of Lauda. Will we see another pass, Derek, into Remus? He's going to try for it.
Makes it pretty cleanly here. That's going to be the key to all these passes. If you want to keep passing back and forth, you have to do them quickly and cleanly. Otherwise, you're going to let San Diego, you're going to let Broomhead, into that battle. Maybe even Joey Haynes back there in P5 could catch up to this battle closer if these guys start battling hard and get too wide for too long.
Well, the battle's been going on for a full lap now, so I don't think it's been quick. It's been clean, though. Oh, and this was not clean. We got another car in the background losing lots of bodywork, as well as these drivers. Stephen Verity off course.
Now wow. Looks like he's going to keep it going, though. Just going to kind of take the scenic route here. Joe, speaking of Stephen Verity, if we can go to him live for a second, the amount of changes in that driver's life in the past 2 months, he's moved from coast to coast. He went from New York to Portland, Oregon. He went from VR to triples, has changed jobs, and is still trying to race every week in this series. If more changes could not happen in Stephen Verity's life right now if he wanted it to.
You reminded me, mentioning Portland, Oregon, perhaps one of my favorite stories from a driver from this summer who, and this is in real life, flew instead of to Portland, Oregon when he had a race, Portland, Maine.
That's slightly different.
Yes, and had to get a ticket to fly back out to Portland, Oregon.
For those who maybe don't live in the States, that is literally coast to coast. That is Maine and Oregon are about as opposite as you can get.
Opposite sides.
Oh my gosh.
I won't say who it is to save him the embarrassment, but I can tell you that his team has not let him live it down because it happened years ago and they were regaling me with that story. But in the meantime, back to Wagner and Holland here on screen. They're keeping San Diego at least far enough away that he hasn't been able to threaten. But if Wagner gets up to him again, Derek, I wonder if he really needs to, like you said, make that decisive move and just make a slam dunk pass.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Like I said, it's okay to keep making passes and fight for first and second, but if they get caught through a couple corners side by side and one doesn't let the other by, that's when you'll let San Diego up there. Right now, they're sort of, you would almost say keeping him back in the Bay Area, but he could be very prominent if they're not careful.
And we've got a replay on the front stretch. Cars weaving as they try. Oh, excuse me. Another one of our dual views. We watch the battle for the lead and the battle for fifth position now. That's Haynes leading Roon, Seitz, Ridgway, Palacio, and Leon. Palacio's up 2 spots, but you were talking about him just not having good races this season. He's going to need to make up a lot more here down to the inside. In the meantime, Roon has not been happy with Haynes having taken the spot away, and he's going to fight him for it as meanwhile the leaders went side by side as well. It's a race to the braking zone down at Schlossgold here for 4th.
Still managing it pretty well. Up on the top of the screen, it looks much tighter up there. You mentioned Julio Palacio. I talked to him earlier. He said he thinks this track is a blast. He loves racing here, but he did acknowledge he's had a tough season. He knows he needs to bounce back, and soon, if he wants to be relevant in the standings here for Formula C.
Oh my goodness, so much side-by-side racing here, and Roon's finally going to get it. He had to work for it, and now Joey Haynes is vulnerable as he's going to get overtaken by Greg Seitz. Momentum, once again, seems to be a key word here as Seitz is going to slide into 6th. This is a good chance for Roon. He's trying to run away.
Run away, he will try and do. There's a big line of cars there down that straightaway. All just kind of following along there. Someone's going to pull out back there about 3 or 4 deep. And nope, never mind. Just peeking.
Yeah, that was Ridgway. He wanted to see if he could also demote Haynes, but nothing doing this time. That slipstream is so powerful. I don't blame Roon for trying to do what he can to push and get away from these guys because if they catch him back up, then he's just going to suffer exactly what we've been seeing, where you're in just a constant battle.
Yeah, Ridgeway is trying to make something happen. As I said, David Holland, and Kevin Sandiego went and ran some official F3 races last night, and they finished second, third, and fourth. It was Holland second, Ridgeway third, and Sandiego fourth. So they were all hoping to repeat those performances. Right now, Holland and Sandiego are there. Ridgeway just needs to go find them.
Yep, sitting about fourth in the line of cars currently. Could have great chances to try and attack, as we've seen. When one car gets past, that opens the door. You got to be quick to jump on it. Will he be close enough for that? Because as it sits now, he's about 4/10 behind.
Look how close they're cutting that corner every time there, Joe. It's that one corner they seem to cut the most. They're really getting almost all four tires almost at or under the curbing.
Whoa.
On that. Oh, my gosh.
That was Leon.
That was Ozzy Milwane.
Yeah, getting hit by Ozzy. Yeah, we were both right. And thankfully did not turn him. That slows him down. Brisson down to the inside in the 43. Not able to take it, though. Big check up in front for Milwane as he has to slam on the binders so as not to turn Leo Ho. And here we go. They all come together once again. We could see a three-wide battle. Oh, he swings right in front of his rival. Thankfully, he has enough space to do so. As they come down to the braking, the 5 has the inside, but can he get the grip off the corner? Not quite.
Wow, what a move by Ozzy Milwane. Oh, man, I was getting concerned. He was almost like bump drafting the number 5, and I was like, man, so much to tell him we're not doing NASCAR, but then they're still not done. Look at how close Milwane is racing him. I'm not sure if maybe something happened and Milwane is showing his displeasure in a racing way, or if they're just racing hard, but Milwane is all over him right now.
And did you see Rivera? He just snuck past Brisson there, down through Schlossgold, just picked his pocket and went up the inside. So will we see the same thing happen to the number 5 in front of him, since he is so distracted by trying to attack on Ozzy Milwane? Great run. I wonder if Milwane has a little bit of aero damage. He seems slow on the straights, and as they break for the corner, oh my goodness, just about loses the position.
Yeah, he very well might, from that contact that we saw happen where he, hit the car in front of him and they both kind of wiggled a little bit. I was waiting to see which one of them had the damage. I thought one of them would. These cars are pretty fragile. You can break a wing or a body part pretty easily. But, oh, man, they're still all over each other here. I know that's hard racing, but wow.
It's fantastic racing. Wheel to wheel through there. Oh, no. Little bit of contact. Going to have to lift out of it. That was Rivera, who is going to get through once again. Oh, but on his inside, he's under attack. That's Brisson, who wants that position. Looks like he's going to take it. And it was Leon that I thought was going to suddenly go into a spin, running into the side of Rivera. This can't last forever. They are starting to worry me here, Derek.
Yeah, they've been worrying me for about a lap. By the way, this is for 11th. These guys, you would think they're racing for the lead, the hard they're racing. This is for 11th currently on track, but Milwane has finally started to pull a gap here, and now Leung is falling back a little bit. Maybe it's from the passes, but oh, hold on, we got a car slow up here. That's Milwane's teammate.
Yeah, that's Joey Haynes. Oh no, yeah, he was well up the order, so he's down to 16th. Not sure if he had some help there. Let's actually find out.
I'm going to self-spin it here. He got up on the curbs a little bit, but he just all by himself.
Man, seems to be lots of mistakes out here. Wonder if a lot of drivers have turned the wing down as well.
Probably turned the wing down. You've worn the tires a little bit. You've got some gas out of the car. The benefit of gas out of the car is it goes faster. The downside of gas out of the car, Joe, is it doesn't handle quite as tight as it once did, because there's not as much weight in the car.
We had a strange occurrence for Ozzy Milwane. He's out of this race. He drove it into pit lane and then exited the race. So I wonder if something happened in the real world, maybe, that he had to go take care of. I really hope it wasn't a rage quit, because he was still doing fairly well today.
So the other thought in my head, the PRL has some pretty strict incident point limits. I'm not saying he hit it tonight, but maybe he thought he was
there
getting
wasn't a black
close.
flag.
No, but I'm wondering if, with incident points that they carry over from race to race, I wonder if he thought he was getting close or frustrated. But you're right. That was very sudden. I don't know.
Meanwhile, watching the 222 of Rivera has worked his way up to the front of this group. And that's where the trail of breadcrumbs kind of ends for him. Kolsar is 5.5 seconds up the road. So now he's got to do what we've seen a lot of drivers try, which is break that draft, Derek. Can he do that?
It's really hard to do in these cars. It feels like when you get within maybe a half a second to 0.3 of a second of the guy in front of you, it's almost like the draft isn't relevant anymore. It's almost like there's an invisible bubble with these cars that you have to find a way to break that bubble and kind of pop it if you want to get around a driver in front of you. Right on board here for a second and watch that side-by-side battle. This is Andrew Hardman in the number 3 car.
Coming back through the field. There's going to be another tick off of the boxes he's trying to finish. That's Jeff Groff, and that moves Hardman up into 16th. He's still 13 positions down, and I'm seeing about 20 seconds off the lead. I mean, maybe a top 10 is feasible, but I really don't think we're going to see a good points day for Andrew.
No, but we're going to see a lot of passing. If you have a fantasy league for PRL with a number of passes in a race or something like that, Andrew Hardman would score you some points. He's going to pass a lot of drivers here. And is he the last of those cars left? No, I guess. No, Milwane's out. Haynes I need to check on. Hardman might be the last of that team left on track.
Yeah, I think that's the Evolve SimSport team, yeah, that he's racing for. And one car dives down into pit lane. That is Michael Blaze. He's a lap down, so he's, I think, simply trying to get out of the way. This is still quite early, so he's within the pit window, but just not wanting to be a factor. Oh, have we had a change for the lead? Here we go, Holland versus Wagner. Once again, Connor gets rebuffed.
Nice attempt there. And look at the gap they've opened up, by the way, on San Diego back in 3rd. So now you can race it out a little bit here. There'll be another pass attempt right here. But it was on the outside. You can't make that work usually at most racetracks.
And now we've lost Michael Blaze as well. So he's quit the race on top of it. Not sure what is going on out there. Connor Wagner trying to see if he can deny him. Here was the attempt up into Remus. Popular place to make the pass, Derek.
Yeah, let's see what he does here. And I think he's going to try it and be side by side here. That big uphill corner right there really kind of kills that momentum as you're getting up there. But nope, they're going to keep in the same spots they were. No pass in that moment.
He's still with him. Only 0.3 separate the 28 and the 51 at this stage. Had to defend down at Schlosskold, and that's where they finally went back to single file once again as we see them start yet another lap. We're on lap 14 now out of the hopefully 30. And yeah, it looks like they should be on schedule as we get another driver pitting. Is that Eric Dubé? Yeah, and Leo Ho Yin Lun.
So, you know, Joe, this track's had an interesting history in real life, of course. You know, a lot of fans will still call this the A1 ring. That's the name from the former cell phone sponsor back in the 90s. This track closed for a long time before being reopened again. It's a very historic track, but I think a lot of people don't realize that it wasn't in service for a long time.
Absolutely not. The question is, do you know the name it had before the A1 ring?
No, but Wikipedia does. I could go look it up real quick.
It was the Österreichring, which is the German word for Austria. So, yeah, it was that way for quite a long time and was drastically different. But we'll talk about that in a bit. In the meantime, Jeff Groff now has Brian Lowe trying to attack him. Hardman's already gone by Takeshi Kita in the meantime, too. So we saw him passing Jeff just a few laps ago, and basically he is taken off like a shot.
Yeah, he has taken off like a shot. Takeshi Kita's another driver this season. We've only seen him race once or twice now, but he is always that one driver, Joe. He doesn't always qualify well, but man, he's always somehow in the top 10 conversation at the end of a race.
We used to call him Mr. Sneaky because of the way that
Justin Prince calls him.
Yep, and he tends to try and climb his way forward. Qualifying not really that great, but his race pace and his race skill. Yeah, in fact, he has Sneaky on the side of his car. We just saw there. He embraces it, but his race craft as well quite good. He keeps out of trouble. He keeps putting the laps down, very consistent. And next thing you know, he's getting himself top 10s.
Yeah, last season, Justin Prince and I had a long talk about, like, if he could, maybe practice qualifying or find what he's missing in qualifying, might be the better way to say it. With how much he's able to pass drivers on track, he could probably be a championship caliber driver if that qualifying number were a little higher.
We're going to watch from on board now here as we watch our two leaders continue to fight. We're going to ride with Connor Wagner. You can see how much more speed these F3 cars have. Just one step up from what we saw in those F4 machines, and yet the intensity is hugely ratcheted up. It's getting a little closer here in the tow. I wonder if we might have a good opportunity coming out of Remus. He needs a good exit here, Derek.
What I thought was happening at first when this race began, Joe, when they were kind of slipstreaming back and forth, I thought maybe they were trying to kind of share the fuel saving so that they could both get like equal amounts of it. But Wagner, has been behind Holland so long that that's not the plan here, obviously. That's what I thought they were doing at first, but if that was what they were doing, they've backed out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, that was thrown out the window on lap 1, essentially. And he's been hassling that 28 all race long. Been able to at least keep him behind. Question is, will the pit stops change that around? Because we are now past the halfway mark, or at least I think hitting it, here in about 10 seconds. So one of them could pit pretty soon. Not be too far off the mark as they come back onto the main straight and complete lap 16.
And Connor Wagner, by the way, has the fastest lap of the race. So in PRL, you do get points for qualifying and for having the fastest lap in the race. So Wagner right now is in position for those bonus points to help him in his championship battle.
We got a driver pitting. Greg Seitz is now in there. So it looks like a scheduled stop as far as I can tell. See where he exits out. He was, I think, racing around 8th or 9th when we last saw him, and he'll emerge around 17th. Oh, and the battle back on between Wagner and Holland. David once again going defensive, trying to cut back underneath down through Schlossgold. Wagner still unable to get it done. He's going to have the overlap into Rauch, plunging downhill corner this one into the infield portion of the track, and he finally slips back into line.
Yeah, he does slip back in the line, and I'm surprised. I thought he was really going to go for it there, but once again, maybe he decided you don't want to be out there hung out too long and get caught in a bad way. But here's Holland and Wagner. Really been the race, or the battle of the race, I should say, is what's going on here. Now, they're not too far from catching. Richard Swindell's up ahead of them. Hopefully, Swindell's just kind of stays out of the way of this battle and doesn't complicate it.
Yeah, that could be the opportunity that Connor needs. He's going to be watching it with a close eye. Swindell's could pit in this time, since we've already seen at least one driver take their scheduled stop. Chinsky's been in, but it looks like it was a long one. He may have had to replace that front wing to do so. Now Rivera is also pitting as we once again see an attack. Connor Wagner, this time down the inside, and he couldn't do it from the outside before. This time he actually gets it done. Down through Remus. Wagner, your new leader.
New leader indeed. And there you go, around that lapped car we just talked about. So pretty easy passing here. I love this, how this team really, there's no ego here. There's no team orders. There's no, car A, car B, whatever you will say it. These guys go race every week, and it's always a fun battle to watch.
It really is. But here's my big question, Derek. Wagner's finally got it. Can he get away, though? Is Holland going to be glued to his rear and now do the exact same thing back to him?
Well, I don't know, because they can't be that far from pitting. As you said, we're more than halfway into this race here. We're about 26, 27 minutes into a 45-minute race.
Holland's pitting. He's responding. So as soon as he loses the lead, he is coming in.
Which might have been why he gave up that spot. It could have been he decided it's easier to pit from behind and not hold up a teammate and just go ahead and pit right now. That was part of why I was confused in the last race, why they all pitted together, was why risk something happening to a teammate. But Holland will come first, and I bet Wagner comes next time by.
In and out easily. They're quick stops here, only 4.5 seconds. So fuel only, no tires for David Holland this time. Not a track I expect that we're going to see many drivers decide to take tires here, especially without the temperatures being too high. Brisson also pitting. Jeff Groff is in. Now, I want to touch on a storyline that we started early on and then it kind of disappeared. Kevin Sandiego, remember he was keeping a close watch between Wagner and Holland. Well, he's now about 4 seconds behind them by this stage of the race. So though they have been battling, Kevin hasn't been able to hang.
No, I think it's a matter of probably two different factors, Joe. It's a matter, first off, of the draft does matter in these cars. It is a real thing. It may not be as strong as other forms of cars on iRacing, but it does matter, and that will help them pull ahead. It also could be that maybe they're better at saving tires than Kevin Sandiego is. Maybe his tire fall off is a little bit more than what they have been. By the way, here does come Wagner down pit road, by the way, off screen. So, or actually on screen, right there he is. So, yep, there it is. It's back-to-back laps. They're going to get that in here.
Responding to his teammate who tried to see if he could undercut him.
And there's Sandiego behind him, I'm pretty sure.
So we're going to go side by side here to see who can come out ahead. It was awful tight before, so shouldn't be a huge jump between them. Holland coming out of the final turn. Wagner has finished his stop. It's only 2/10 though. Will that be enough to make the difference? They're coming up to turn 1. It's going to be close. Wagner might have the edge, but for how long? As now the momentum is in the hand of David Holland. He's going to force him all the way down to the inside as Wagner covers it off. Back to the left-hand side, leaves him enough space. Under braking with a nose ahead. Holland may have lost the lead just before they pitted, but he's going to get it right back.
Yeah, he really is. And, oh, man, not by much, though. That 2 or 3 tenths of a second on pit road, or in the pit stall, pardon me, could be part of the difference here. But now still going to race hard. They're not done yet coming to this right-hander.
Forcing him to the inside. Again, looking for that undercut, but it just doesn't seem to work through that downhill right-hander. As they approach into route once again, he backs out, and Holland will be back to the lead. And Wagner has to do it all over again.
Yeah, I'm not as convinced that Wagner made the pass last time. And I hate to say that and sound mean, but I think Holland let him have the pass so that Holland could pit behind a teammate and risk less bad things happening. I'm not convinced that Wagner did kind of force his way around.
Well, onto the front stretch there. Line astern, and actually lost about half a second, I think, to Kevin Sandiego in that pit sequence because he's down to 3.5 now. So he could become a part of this. If he pushes hard, 16 minutes should give him enough time to try and catch them if he's got the pace. I just heard Christian Jasper also saying he's pitting in. I think he's going to be among our last drivers to be able to pit.
Yeah, definitely amongst the last to pit. And Christian Jasper's had a pretty tough night all the way back in 20th place right now. And, you know, he admitted to me before the race started that this is not his best track, and he knows that it's something about him. In fact, the quote he gave me at the end was, he said, it's a great track, and I'm just a so-so driver at it.
As these two have been staying close and keeping our attention, I also want to point out one of our drivers that we expected to be better, Palacio here, is trying to hold off Ridgway. And this has a couple aspects to it. Ridgway obviously fighting extremely hard. Then there's Palacio, we know that needs to get back into the hunt here. And guess who's coming behind them? Andrew Hardman. We've got a replay here. Let's check this out.
This will be Palacio right here. He was talking about him, and
tried to cover him off on the
tight
inside.
Battle in there,
yeah, and does so successfully. I'm a little bit surprised. It seems like in real life, oftentimes that outside line just gets so much better grip off the corner. But here in these F3s, Derek, it just doesn't seem like the outside does it for you.
And that may be a matter of just lack of confidence in making that move work. You know, one of the challenges of iRacing when we move tracks off, and by the way, we have a battle for the lead here again. Let me come back to my thought in a second.
Yeah, this is going to be side by side down into Schlossgold. Holland's got the inside, and he knows that that's a difficult one to make work, so he'll hold him back. We'll get to your point in just a second. I got to see whether or not these two will carry on down through the infield, and I think we've settled it now at this point. Still a defensive move, though, from Holland down into Vert, so he is feeling...
That dip check kind of scared me there a little bit.
Yeah, I think Holland is scared. Look at how much he's having to defend. In fact, they're going to go side by side into Rent. This is a hard one to go too wide through, and they're going to get back to single file, at least for now. Wagner has got him on the ropes, Derek.
He really does, and yeah, it's amazing to watch these two race and how hard they're racing. Coming back to the thought, though, about the comments about the path on the outside and why things don't work, sometimes I think it's the confidence of not knowing what you can do. One of the challenges of iRacing, Joe, when we change tracks on a weekly basis, is that about the time you start to get comfortable and learn a track, it's time for a new one. And we won't see this track again, maybe for a season, maybe for 2 seasons. And so sometimes I think the fact of learning a track is hard when you're changing tracks that often. And that's why some drivers don't know what they don't know.
Ooh, we got another good run from Wagner on Holland. He's got a very good bit of momentum, but we've seen this play out before. Is Wagner just going to keep doing the same thing? He's going to keep forcing him to the inside. Not sure if he's just playing games here, Derek, or if there's genuinely a plan that he's got.
I think there's a plan. It's almost like he's saying to Holland, hey, I can do this. Just FYI, like when we get closer on time, I'm going to do this, but I just want to put it in your head right now. Like, you know, it's like it's like a cat playing with a toy, you know, just maybe he's brought like a mouse in the house, that's kind of batting it around just to prove a point.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that, doesn't it? It just toying with him at this stage. And it's been so close, but I feel like he would have left him behind, though, when he had the opportunity, as we get a nice little replay of a fight for 17th. That's the 5 of Jung there to the inside. Is he going to lose the position? Yeah. Ooh, beautiful undercut.
Nice undercut. But, man, that was like a little bit of close contact. Something about the Young's car tonight is really just like magnetically attracted to contact in the rear end, it seems like, Joe.
Carried on all the way down to Schlossgold once again, which has been common, and we're going to see more of that exact same thing. Holland still covering the inside. Wagner just doing what he's been doing down to the outside, but this time he breaks much earlier. Is he looking for the run off the corner? I think he is, and he does get it. Oh, it's a much better run. Look at this. They're going to be wheel to wheel this time as they come down to Rauch, and it's just not enough. He decides it's not worth it. He'll fall back in line.
No, he's going to fall back in line. Now, the number I want to keep an eye on right now that may prove to be nothing is 4.8 seconds. That's for Kevin Sandiego. In fact, now 5 seconds for Kevin Sandiego. If these guys keep toying like this through these corners for the next 11 minutes, I'm curious if Kevin Sandiego can close that gap at all, or if it stays the same. Because a lot of times when you race side by side, neither of you are running the line you want to run. Neither of you are going as fast as you could. And you often open up the door for people behind you to close that gap.
They've only got so many minutes left in this, though, so something's got to give eventually. And again, I wonder, what does Wagner have up his sleeve here? They're still ahead by about, looks like almost 5 seconds, and he's going to try the outside into this corner. Like we said, it doesn't seem to work. The grip just isn't there like it is in real life. And coming and cutting back, he's going to try to get the inside, and I think he actually has it this time. Has he pulled a master stroke on David Holland? And can he get this pass done? He's going to have to break deep. He's already got his leg through the door. Now can he push his way through the rest of it? And it looks like he might. He does. Connor Wagner's now your leader.
That's a great move. David Holland's not done. He's going to try to get back to the inside of the left-hander here and will now be in the lead coming out of it as Wagner got really wide, and now David Holland back to the lead once again here.
Color me surprised. I thought Connor had that one wrapped up that time. He's still going to force him to go down to the inside through Rent. I think it's getting a bit frantic now. Is he getting frustrated? The drivers dicing out there through the track as they come off the final corner.
Yeah, it's getting a little frustrating here. And that's what you got to be careful for both these drivers. You can have fun racing. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't let it get to your head. Don't let that mental side of you take effect and push too hard. Right now, both of you have a solid P1, P2 by 4 seconds. Don't mess it up because you want to race too hard here.
So last time he pulled that over under very well. This time he's actually going to try down the inside. And big defense from Holland will prevent him from really taking that apex away. He'll get another toe. What's he going to do this time? Is he going to once again go to the outside? Is he going to try and force him down to the inside all the way to the apex? No, he's going to take the racing line off to the outside.
By the way, storyline to follow. I mentioned it earlier. Look at that ticker on the left side of your screen, Joe. 3.7 seconds. They're bringing San Diego back into this race.
Ooh, yeah. Great catch on that one. Ooh, and he almost gets into the gearbox of David. The 28, maybe not quick enough for Wagner's liking at this stage. He's going to do it once again here into Rent, but each time he tends to back out by the time they get to the turn-in down here. That's what he does this time. Looks for the over-under, is much quicker down to get to the apex of the final turn, and he's going to be in the lead. Last time this happened, though, Holland took it back pretty quickly. Has he got something to try and salvo back at him and take the lead away? We are coming down now to 4 laps to go.
Yeah, this seems like a more secure pass, at least for right now, than what Wagner has pulled over Holland in the past here. A little bit more of a gap, a little bit more of a momentum. Now will Wagner defend? Oh, Holland's going to get back here on the right-hander.
I think Holland has less wing in it. Look at how we just caught him and passed him with ease there, but it's back to the inside for Connor Wagner now. Will we see here maybe if they get up to speed? Let's watch to see if Connor starts to fall back. No, looks like he's staying about even, but this time he's got the inside down into the corner, and they go wheel to wheel, giving each other enough space, but barely.
Yeah, barely indeed. Connor Wagner locked it up there. You saw a bit of smoke off the tires, and now Holland back to the front here. And they're going to have to do this all over again. What a race between teammates. Oh, my gosh.
It has been a Sisyphean effort from Connor Wagner to take this win. But each time, that rock has been rolling back down the hill, and he's got to make the pass all over again. What has he got to do to make it stick?
I don't know. I guess it's going to be the classic mantra of do it at the last second. It's not about making it stick forever. It's about how long can you make it stick. So if you make that undercut he made in the final corner on the last lap, there's no chance for Holland to get back around you. Man, I almost made contact there.
That's a good point. Yeah, you only have to lead the last lap. That's the only one that counts. And Wagner has been able to do that at least one of the times that we saw with that undercut that you mentioned. Here we go, back into Remus once more. This has been just a repeating story. But this time, he doesn't get as good of a run up and over the mountain straight.
Almost feels like for the first time in a while, it's kind of calmed down a little bit. But I know that's just probably the calm before the storm, Joe Peak. I don't think these guys are done racing just yet here with only a few laps to go.
It's going to be very tight on if they get all the laps in, too. I think they're still going to do it. And they are approaching Josh Chinsky, who had a bit of a spin this lap. I'm not sure if he's wounded, if he's going to be caught very quickly. But if he is, again, we've seen lap traffic play a part in this before.
We see lap traffic, unfortunately, play a part in a lot of road racing of different factors, whether it be Formula cars or GT3s. So kind of hoping that's not the case here. Let's watch and see what happens to Chinsky here. Goes side by side through the corner and just lost it on his own. Probably just caught that curbing on the inside and unsettled the car. Oh man, they got a full donut in there.
Yeah, certainly
like a
having
720.
trouble. Would have been back going a lot sooner, but car did not want to cooperate. All right, that's Wagner in second still. Dives around the outside, tries to cut back underneath, does get a pretty decent launch, but doesn't have the overlap there. Holland knows it, and he chops him down to the inside. 2 laps to go, less than 2 laps to go now. If we go by time, and yeah, we should have enough time to get to the finish. Still defending down into Schlossgold. David Holland has become a master of this with the practice he's had trying to play defense.
Yeah, that's a great move here all around the track. And I want to believe Wagner has it in him, but he just seems to pull those runs out of nowhere when they happen. It's all about momentum. And of course, it's been in the last 2 corners every time he's made the move. So we'll see if he can make it happen again here.
Going to get the white flag this time by up into Rindt. Don't see Wagner trying it now this time. Is he setting him up for later? Is he prepping the car, cooling the wheels down a little bit? That gap to San Diego is still at 2 seconds, so I think they are free to race unless they really lose a whole chunk of time here on this last lap. 1 more to go. What will it look like up in Remus?
We'll wait and see. I like the idea of backing the car up here, Joe. This way he doesn't have to brake as hard. He can maybe, dive a corner here or there and gain some time in this last lap and that momentum. But here comes that right-hander. Wagner thought about it, but backs out.
Just a little poke that time. Nothing like we saw from those before. I'm starting to get the sense he is setting him up, Derek. This is very different to how we saw him racing before.
Yeah, there's more of a gap between them. There's more space. There it is.
Oh, he tried to dive it in.
That would have not worked.
Well, no, definitely not. But he tried to sneak attack him, it looks like. And actually, I think it bit him. Look at how far back he is. I don't think he's got enough.
No, he definitely doesn't have. I'll be stunned, flabbergasted even if he could make a run from here, but he'll still try. Man, Holland got a little loose on the curbing up here, but it's not enough. I think this now is David Holland's race to win.
They never did catch Chinsky in the end. He was able to stay ahead of our lead lap cars as David Holland brings it out of the final turn. He kept ahead despite the attacks and took the win here in Austria. Incredible stuff. The teammates have got to be grinning ear to ear after that one. San Diego collects a third to make it a 1-2-3 for the team. Mackenzie Roon with a 4th place back there ahead of Michael Broomhead. And I was talking about Seitz earlier. He wound up 6th in the end. Palacio climbed his way to 7th.
Yeah, what a great job by Palacio. We're going to watch a couple of battles here happen as this race goes on. But it is Palacio right here on your screen, up to 7th. What a good run that's going to be for him compared to some of his finishes earlier this season.
That's Barton actually chasing Thurman. And yeah, Thurman's going to finish 13th. James Carter being our last car on the lead lap. 22 of them. A lot more than what we saw over at Lime Rock Park. No shock there. But definitely a few lapped cars out there. As one last battle to the line. Yeah, Jasper's going to beat Colasar regardless as they trickle across. And yeah, there is the last of our train coming through with Carter now crossing the line. So that was a fascinating and exciting 45-minute race here for round 4 that sees David Holland, your winner, over Connor Wagner, separated by half a second at the end. And there was a lot less than that half a second for the majority of the race between them. San Diego finished in 3rd as Mackenzie Roon was P4. Michael Broomhead finished P5. Greg Seitz, as I mentioned, with a 6th place ahead of Palacio in 7th and Robert Ridgway P8. Andrew Hardman spun in the very first corner. And, well, he climbed back up to 9th, but he's going to be kicking himself in that championship hunt. Tommy Brisson was 10th. Takeshi Kita was 11th. Mr. Sneaky gaining 9 today. Jeff Groff was 12th, as Brett Thurman did even better. He's up 14 to finish 13th position. Scott Barton was P14 and Joey Haynes 15th. Then you've got Leo Lung in the 16th spot. Christian Jasper was 17th and Adam Colasar 18th. Brian Lowe P19 and James Carter a gain of 10 today to finish 20th. Not too bad. Eric Dubé was 21st, last one on the lead lap. Josh Chinsky in 22nd. Then you've got Richard Swindell's 23rd and Nick Colander in at 24th. From there on down, unfortunately, it was DNFs all the way to 30th with Daniel Cranefuss. So looks like we don't quite have our drivers in here yet. So we'll chat for just a moment in case we get to talk with them a little later. Derek, I got to say, that was a treat to watch. This combination of this car at this track was fantastic.
Yeah, as I said in the beginning of this coverage for this hour, I love the schedule for the Formula, I call them Formula 3s or Formula Cs this season. It's just a lot of wide open racing. Of course, we have that Aragon track right there in the middle that will be a little bit tighter than I want it to be, but we can have one of those that'll be exciting. But the real treat is watching this team and watching that they're allowed to go race it out. There's nothing stopping them. And we saw it right there all race long. Those two guys went as hard as they could. Let's go ahead and catch up with them first. We got a couple of them here. And Joe, I suspect you're going to catch up with David Holland.
Indeed. The number 18, or excuse me, the number 28 joining us says, David, congratulations on the win. I don't know if you caught any of the Formula D race before you guys, but it was pretty much team orders at the front. And I get the sense that there was no such thing in this race.
Yeah, none of that going on tonight. This track's a little bit different than last week at Road Atlanta, where you could just cruise by on the straight. You can really defend hard here, and I knew if Connor got ahead, he was going to do the same to me. And we had a little bit of gap back behind, so I was able to do it, and it worked out. But it was hard racing, it was clean racing, and it was fun racing. So I'll take it. That's what I'm here for.
Are you surprised you were able to get him back each time when he passed you? Because we kept thinking, oh, he's got him. That's it. He's finally made the pass. And then a couple corners later, you'd sneak right back by.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really have much for that. I don't know. It just is like, it's very momentum based here. And so, when you go to defend or when you have to make a pass, it just kills the momentum, right? So, the over-unders, all of that, I think it was just kind of working out that way. But yeah, luckily I was able to get back by each time because I knew, if he started defending hard or if he had a chance to kind of settle in up front, it was going to be just as hard for me to pass him as it was for him to pass me.
Well, it was a joy for us to watch. Were you having a good time out there on track? Have you guys had a chance to catch up and hug and talk about that race already?
Oh yeah, we were already debriefing a little bit, but I'm sure there's more to come. But yeah, overall it was a great race. Always fun battling at 100% with respectful, clean drivers. And yeah, the team, we came away with top 4 today, so all 4 of us on Delta Sports in the top 4, so couldn't really ask for more.
Fantastic. Congratulations, David. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you at the next round.
All right, thanks guys. See you.
David Holland, your winner here today. And then up next, we don't have Connor Wagner here to chat with us quite yet, but I believe Derek has caught up with Kevin Sandiego.
I have indeed. I've caught up with the man who I think had the best seat in the house, Joe. Kevin Sandiego, before we talk about your awesome P3 finish, I have to be remiss if I didn't ask, how great was it watching that race happen in front of you? Like, what was watching that kind of battle must be exciting, right?
It was exciting. I was with them for the first part and unfortunately got split by lap traffic and I lost the draft, but definitely they were going at it the entire race. It was really neat to see.
Now, I don't think Joe asked, or I've not asked before, do you guys all sit in the same Discord voice chat together? Were you all just talking and throughout that race? Was it silent? What was the atmosphere like?
I mean, we're all in the same Discord, but for the most part, none of us can speak and drive at the same time, so it's pretty quiet.
That makes sense. Well, listen, great job in the P3 tonight. What was that what you expected? Do you like this track? Are you well versed at it?
I'm more a fan of traditional road courses where they've got real curbs and that sort of thing. Not super fan of Red Bull Ring, but it was a good result. Had fun tonight. It was a little bit of a boring race, unfortunately. Got stuck in some empty space there in the middle, but happy with the result. And thanks for doing the broadcast tonight, guys.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Well, listen, congrats to you and your teammates on an amazing night. Delta Sport had an amazing top 4 run tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Well, that's Kevin Sandiego, Joe. He finished P3, and wow, what a night.
Yeah, and I think we got one more to chat with, Mike Broomhead. Let's see. Actually, need to check and see where he finished. Oh, fifth place, top five for Mike Broomhead here today. So excellent run for him. And Mike, congratulations on a top five. Now, you sent me a message just as we were getting started saying that you didn't feel confident in your pace. Have you changed your tune?
I don't know how I was up there, to be honest with you. I was having trouble in practice. I was about 24th, 25th, something like that. And I just couldn't put the laps together. In qualifying, I got a major tow from Jeff Groff, and that put me at the top for a little bit. And I was just thinking, oh, God, I mean, I can't go faster than that. So I just sat back and just saw how it ended up. But yeah, just each quarter, just make sure I hit my targets and just stayed there, I guess. I was lucky there, I think.
Well, this proved to be quite an excellent combination. It seems to be divisive. Some drivers really seem to love this, and others seem to not like the fact that it's a little big for this car. How'd you feel out there today?
Robert Ridgway made an amazing setup to make it really easy, to be honest with you. The Atomic Boys really know what they're doing. Honestly, I'm not great at sort of stop and turn the car kind of corners, and this has a lot of them. So I wasn't too confident, like you say. But in terms of the grip level and everything was fine, and the car was obviously really nice to drive. So, credit to Robert all there and for that one. And yeah, thanks, guys. That was really fun.
Well, we're going to another very fast circuit next time out at Aragon. Have you had a chance to try this combination yet? The F3 over there?
Not the F3 on Aragon. I've done a few LMP2s. I'm not sure if I'll make that one, to be honest with you. It's a new track, but yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to a lot more races, obviously, in this series and running against some of these guys. It's kind of amazing. And I just want to shout out to Mimi, who graduates tomorrow from Brock. So congratulations to her. And well, this one's for you, top five and in such a good class.
Fantastic. That was Mike Broomhead. Thanks for coming and chatting with us, and awesome drive today, sir. Thank you so much for having me. As Michael Broomhead fifth out in that 00 machine in the end. And I think that's going to wrap us up here, Derek. But like we said, we've got more racing to come for the season. Next time out, Aragon, I am looking out for that. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great return to the F3 series. I'm pretty sure we did this last season as well. So we'll wait and see if the racing's any different or better than last time. But fun will be had, at least by some of the drivers.
Yeah, we'll see if all of them get to. I don't know if that will be the case. But of course, we want to once again thank our sponsors, but also a big thank you to the team today, Rafael and Derek. Make sure and tune in next week for the Formula D and Formula C series here on RaceSpotTV. But until the next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.